Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So, we are going to start this episode with a beautiful beast segment. Several foods that are perfectly suitable for human consumption can be toxic to dogs and cats. The researchers wrote in their review, published in the Journal of Frontiers in Veterinary Science, the poisoning episodes are generally due to lack of public knowledge of the serious health threats to dogs and cats that can be posed by these products. Sometimes owners give these harmful foods to their dogs and cats, but a lot of times pets accidentally ingest these foods, which happen to be commonplace in homes. The researchers found that in the past decade, reported cases of pet poisoning have involved chocolate and chocolate-based products. Plant foods in the Allium genus, including onions, garlic, leeks, and chives, macadamia nuts, Vitis vinifera fruits, including grapes, raisins, sultanas, and currants. What's a sultana?
I've never heard of that before.
Interesting. Foods sweetened with something I can't pronounce, such it's the sugar-free gums and cookies, the xylitol.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it said? Okay. Ethanol in alcoholic beverages and unbaked bread dough. The list of human foods that are toxic to cats and dogs continues to grow as cases get reported. And in many instances, scientists don't know the exact biological reasons why certain foods sicken animals. While some foodstuffs, such as chocolate, foodstuffs. Is that a word? Is that what she meant to say, foodstuffs?
I don't know.
Okay. Have long been known to cause poisoning in cats and dogs. Others, such as grapes, have previously been considered unlikely to cause problems and have emerged as a potential concern only in the last few years. In general, dogs are affected more than cats, in part because they eat pretty much anything, whereas cats are somewhat protected because they are picky eaters, the researchers found. So, the following foods are dangerous to your pets. There are some that are more dangerous. So, alcoholic beverages are considered more dangerous. Apple seeds, apricot pits, avocados, cherry pits, candy, particularly chocolate, which is toxic to dogs, cats, and ferrets, and any candy containing the toxic sweetener xylitol. I think that's how you say it. Coffee is another especially poisonous one. Grounds, beans, and chocolate-covered espresso beans. Garlic is especially toxic. Grapes are especially toxic. Gum. The gum can cause blockages, and sugar-free gums may contain that xylitol. Hops used in home beer brewing, those are especially toxic. Macadamia nuts are especially toxic. Moldy foods, mushroom plants, mustard seeds, onion and onion powder are especially toxic. Peach pits, potato leaves and stems, the green parts. Raisins are especially toxic. Rhubarb leaves, salt, tea because it contains caffeine. Tomato leaves and stems, the green parts. Walnuts, xylitol is especially toxic, and yeast dough. This information was compiled from various sources. The number one foods that can lead to most deaths in pets are the ones that I stated were especially toxic. We'll post this on our Facebook page. Please remember to always be kind to animals and adopt, don't shop. So thank you, Chris, for our beautiful beast segment this week. And again, if you guys want to send us a story about your pets, or if you want to post a picture on Facebook, we would love it. ghouls.nightoutpodcast@gmail.com. Yay. Okay, so this week is actually a happy hour, and we watched the Blackwell Ghost documentary, and we found it on Amazon Prime. So let's dig into it. It was awesome. I love this documentary. It's so good, and it seems so authentic.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's really funny because I did not get the guy's name. Did you get his?
He ever says it.
Oh, weird.
I don't think he ever says it.
Okay, so we don't know the dude's name, but he's really likable. He's just a normal dude, you know. He said that for a long time he was skeptic. Actually, did you happen to know when this was made? Did you see the year it was made?
I think it was 2014.
Okay,
but I'm not positive.
So he said up until about a couple of years ago, so 2012-ish probably, we'll say, he was a skeptic.
Well, in 2012, that's when he saw that video in the hotel.
That's right. Which I was going to get to that in just a second, because I just wanted to say he's from Kentucky. He went to California for a few years and tried like filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And his wife's name is Terry. So you're right. In 2012, he got sent, he just authentically came upon the hotel room paranormal video, which I believe we've talked about it before.
I think we have.
And it is so scary. It's such a scary video. So this security guard gets called to this, like, people are complaining in this hotel about they're hearing screaming coming from this room, and so the security guard is sent up to check it out. There's security film. There's like a security camera right outside the door, and it shows him knocking on the door, and he is radioing, like, I don't even know who. No. But the guy that got the complaint, they're radioing each other back and forth, and he's saying that he's hearing these screams. You can hear them on the video. I mean, you can hear, it's a woman screaming her head off. Mm-hmm. So he knocks on the door. Nobody's in there, and I don't think that anybody is, like, booked in that room. Like, they're like, nobody is supposed to be in that room.
Yeah.
So, obviously nobody answers. He ends up going in, and did he say the shower was running? I think the shower was running, and the furniture in the room was all, like, upside down.
Yeah. And
in the video, you can see, like, this apparition. Once he walks into the room, you can see this apparition walk out into the hallway. Mm-hmm. And I believe some of the lights flicker in the hallway too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Which is super creepy. So this guy, what should we call him? Kentucky guy?
I guess.
Okay. So a Kentucky guy that made the film, he's convinced that this is fake. Somehow, or he said he had a mutual friend with the guy that was in the video on Facebook. So did he reach out to him? Was it that he reached out to him first? You remember?
Yeah, because he said that the guy said that there's no way that the other guy could fake the video.
Right.
Because
That's okay.
Technically impaired.
Right. So he ends up talking to the guy that's in the video. And again, they said that he is, technology challenged. He can barely turn on a computer, so there would be no way that he could fake it himself. And I was thinking, I want to see footage of the room when all that furniture is, like, overturned and stuff. I wish they would have done something like that.
Well, and that's another reason why it seems more authentic, because it's not someone going in there with a camera.
Yeah.
That's just the camera that's out in the hallway.
Yeah. So this guy, John, that was in this video, he was the reason why this Kentucky guy started this project. And so he did talk to him one time, and then he starts calling him, and this John guy is not responding. So he just kind of completely ghosts him. No pun intended. So he wanted to quit, and he kind of did. He just kind of gave up this documentary about the ghost idea that he was going for. Well, 2 years later, so this is 2014, he gets a email from a guy named Greg in Pennsylvania, And he sends him this video, and it's this guy's living room. And so the light, there's a little security camera that's pointed towards this doorway, and there's a lamp within the picture, and the lamp turns on, and then you see kind of this apparition walk across, like it's walking away from turning, or it turns off, and then you see the ghost like walking away after it turned off. I totally saw it the first time he played it. Did you see it? So I didn't think it was that hard to notice at all, but he kind of played it a few times. Just, he's like, well, you guys may not have saw. So he ends up calling this Greg guy, and they talk, and he has his own freaking plane. So they get in their plane and they fly to Pennsylvania to meet this guy. So they're talking with this guy, Greg, and he says that he asks them if he knows, like he's telling him, the stuff that's happened. And he asks him if he knows if anybody has died in the house. He said when he was a kid, his dad fell down the stairs and broke his neck, which is horrifying and very sudden. And then a few years before this was made, I think he said, his mom also died suddenly of a heart attack.
In the house.
Right, in the house. And he said that she had even had a doctor's appointment the day before, and she was in perfect health.
Yeah.
And she had a sudden heart attack. So he kind of mentioned maybe something like basically scared her to death and caused it. So he's talking about again how, like, what's been happening. He said cabinets are opening and closing all the time downstairs in the kitchen. He can hear them from upstairs in his room. He can hear people walking up and down the stairs all night long. And he said, like, the creepiest thing, he'll hear it walk up and like stop at his door
and just stay there.
Like, ugh.
He says that there's activity almost every day.
Right. He said every day or every other day.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you guys were to stay here, he's like, I wouldn't. And he was wondering, the Kentucky guy was wondering if they would see anything while they were there just visiting. And he was like, maybe. He's like, but if you stayed here, you would definitely, experience something. So they go into the basement, which this basement is super creepy in general anyway. And
it's an unfinished basement. So
yeah.
I'm sure everyone's seen an unfinished basement. They're all creepy looking.
Yeah. And, this house seems pretty old. And there is a well in this basement, which... why are wells so creepy?
I don't know.
Everything associated with the wells are just ugh. And then he starts talking about how there's like a town rumor that the woman that used to live in his house killed children and disposed of their bodies in this basement well. Another thing that I kind of wanted to point out, he said that there were wells in every house on the block.
Yeah.
That used to be their main water source. But they added a really, really heavy sewer storm drain on top of it. And they actually have like a pair of pliers that's kind of wedged in there to keep it to where you can open it if you need to. Because otherwise this thing is so heavy that it's like nearly impossible to get it open. So I did want to mention that too. And then I wrote, they did a Midwestern goodbye at the door that lasted too long. and they left. They flew back home. So out of kind of nowhere, this Greg guy emails them and says that he has to leave his house for a couple of months, and he offered for them to stay there for the documentary and just see if anything happens, see if they can capture anything, since he would be out of the house anyway. He even lent them their car, which was super nice and
very trusting.
Yeah. So yeah, they were all about it. So him and his wife flew back, and they were going to stay 2 nights. So they get there and they especially him. He kind of points out how weird it is being in someone's house.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I would feel really uncomfortable, but I mean, I'm sure you'd get over it. It's just a couple nights. So he starts taking us around the house for a tour. He shows us the security camera area where the ghost was caught on film in that first video that he was sent. And while they're in the basement, they hear footsteps upstairs.
Yeah.
Which is creepy and very distinctive, and it's like unmistakable that someone's walking around, and footsteps just creep me out so bad. So the first night, nothing really happens. That same lamp turned on, didn't it? And turned back off. That was it. I mean, they didn't really catch much except for that. But when he goes downstairs, the basement door is open.
And they can't remember if they shut the door all the way. And
this is an old house. So if one door's cracked just so and someone slams the door upstairs, who knows? Gust of wind can open doors and shit like that. So he was kind of like, he's like, I don't even remember noticing if it was open last night or not. So they were just like, meh, that's whatever. I personally think that, especially that basement, because you can tell just in general he's not fond of the basement. It's just not, it's not a door you keep open.
No,
so
not at all.
If that door was hanging open, they would have definitely noticed.
I think so too.
But again, he does mention that if it was just cracked a little, it wouldn't seem open, but it might have been. Yeah. So they weren't too impressed with anything that they caught. And, it was just like kind of meh. So I also noticed that the key was in the door. So I was like, maybe lock it next time, next night. Just to make sure that it doesn't happen again, which I don't believe they did. I think they just
say anything about.
Yeah, I think they just shut it. So then they start talking about how it's the next night, and it's their last night that they're going to stay there, and they're sleeping, and there is a really loud bang that wakes him up. I don't think she moved at all. I think she was sleeping pretty soundly. And then you heard like a few noises that made him get up. So he
heard the fire alarm going off.
That's right. So the fire alarm starts going off. He opens the door and there's smoke everywhere. It's like, and how horrifying to be in someone else's house.
I know, it's exactly what I was thinking when we were watching it.
Yeah, I mean, that is like worst case scenario anyway, but then you're staying at this person's house, and oh my gosh, I would die. So he's kind of freaking out. He tells his wife to call the fire department, goes downstairs, and the first thing he notices when he turns around the corner is that damn basement door is open, wide open. He closes it, and he's looking around for what is causing the smoke. The stove and all of the burners are turned on full, like high as they can go, which is causing all this smoke. Turns around again. He turns everything off, turns around again, and the basement door is open again.
That was creepy.
I know. Oh my gosh. So he's like, oh my fucking God. He closes it. He locks it this time. And he's like freaking out. So that was basically the second night. And they said that was their last night. So he gets back on the camera, and he is calling, I'm assuming, like the city, and he's asking them about archived newspapers. And then she says, like, he gives them a certain range of dates and asks if they can send those to him. And she's like, oh yeah, we can email him right now. It's like technology is so awesome.
I know, it's so cool.
I know. So he immediately gets them, and he finds this article in this local newspaper. It's got a picture of the house that he is sitting in, and it is about this woman who actually did kill 7 children in the house and disposed of their bodies in this well. So her name is Ruth Blackwell, and he kind of points out how creepy it is to be looking at a picture associated with this article about this woman murdering children in the house that he's sitting in. And he's like, I'm sitting in this room where she roamed around in.
Yeah.
So creepy. So they decided to add a night. So they were going to stay another night. So next, he's in the basement, and he opens this well. And you can tell he's like struggling really, really bad trying to get it open. Yeah. And he finally gets it open, and he's like gagging, and I guess
the water / sewer.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It smells super bad. And then he puts a string. Okay, so there's water like right up to the top of this well. And he put the string in it.
I think it's a weighted string so that he wants to see how deep it goes.
It was weighted. Okay, because I was like, what is he? What are you? I saw him putting.
Floating on top.
That's
of
what
the
I
water.
thought. I was like, how the hell? Well, what is that? That's what I was like. I really thought he was just putting a string in some water. And I was like, what the hell? But he said, as far as he could tell, it went about 60 feet down, which I don't even know if he let it go, like as far as it would. So it could have been deeper than 60 feet, right?
I would think so, yeah.
That's crazy deep. Which that's creepy all in itself.
Yeah. Think about falling in it or something.
Oh my God. No, thank you. So, next they show him putting this and again, he's struggling really, really bad with this cover thing, and he just lets it drop on there. And I'm like, well, he fucked that up for Greg pretty bad if he ever needs to open it, because
that's what I was thinking too. It's like, you didn't do the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's shut.
And before we go any further, I just need to add that the very first night that they get there, he sets up this ball in the living room. He puts 2 pieces of toilet paper in like an X shape.
Yes, on the coffee table.
On the coffee table, and then puts this little ball in the middle of the X.
Looks like a tiny
like a
dodgeball. But yeah.
And he just wants to see if it moves.
If it moves, yeah. Yeah, interrupt me next time, because I forgot about that.
Well, I forgot about it until just now.
Okay, so yeah, the ball is important. That's important. Okay, so after he puts the thing back on the well, the cover back on the well, he mentions that it's starting to storm, which that always is said to stir up paranormal activity. Yeah. So, like, perfect timing. He also mentions that he is having a lot of problems with his cameras, which is another indication of paranormal activity.
Said they're all dead, and he couldn't get them to charge.
Right. So he's got just a few cameras that he was able to, set up, and he's just working with what he's got. So night 3, when they're getting ready to go to bed, they're woken up by, the security alarm again? Saying that the power went out in the house, so the security system is like offline or whatever. So he gets to go down to the basement with no power and try and find the breaker box and turn the power back on.
He sits there, and his wife's like, "Do you want me to go?" He's like, "No, I'll do it."
And then he starts whining about calling the police.
I know.
The whole time. He's like, if you hear me scream, call the police. She's like, what do I tell? She's like, just call the police. And then he goes downstairs he opens the door because they're upstairs.
In the bedroom. He opens the door to the bedroom.
And you immediately hear, like, it sounds like it's raining in the house.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's storming outside, so that's kind of what I thought at the beginning. But he goes into the bathroom across the hall, and the water's running in the tub and in the sink. Mm-hmm. So he turns that off, goes downstairs. The basement door is shut. Mm-hmm. But all of the sinks downstairs, any running water is running. So he's like, obviously freaking out. So he goes into the other bathroom downstairs, turns off the sink. The one in the kitchen is on as well, so he turns that off. Then he starts yelling about calling the cops again because he saw the water running. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he is freaking out. Okay, you can totally tell this dude is freaking out. So he has to go down into the basement with the power out. Creepy basement. He tries the light switch, but that's doing nothing. He goes down
and when he was upstairs before he even left the bedroom, he looked out and noticed that everyone else's power was on. So
exactly.
It's just the power in this house.
Right. So he knows that it's something like in there, and he knows he has to go down in the basement to fix it. So all the sinks downstairs are running as well. So he turns those off. He's kind of feeling his way around because the only light that he's got his camera screen. That's like all the light that he has, and it's like the what is it, night vision?
Yeah.
So that's the only way that he can see. So he's kind of like feeling around a little bit, and really the only thing that you can see when he's walking, is what he's trying to maneuver his way. Mm-hmm. So he's not really focusing on anything. But he finds the breaker box, walks up to it, tries one of the switches, yells up to his wife, asks if the power was on, and she's like, no. So that didn't work. So he starts like panning around, like looking, right?
I think he was turning around to go back upstairs.
Well, why wouldn't he try another one, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, so he gives up really quickly on that, apparently. And he's panning around, and he happens to pan across where the well is. And not only is the wrench back in the well, so the well cover is propped up again, but the fucking ball that was on the coffee table is sitting in the middle of that lid.
That is so creepy.
I have full body chills right now. So creepy. So he flips the fuck out, runs upstairs. He's like feeling his way. He's like, oh my god, I can't see. Oh my god, I can't see. Shit, I can't see. Walks back upstairs, which, did you hear footsteps upstairs when he was walking back? Did you hear any footsteps, or was that him? I thought I heard...
I don't know. I don't remember.
Footsteps maybe up above, but he goes back upstairs, turns around, the ball is gone. The sinks are all back on. Mm-hmm. The chandelier in the dining room is swinging. He goes through the kitchen, like pans the camera through the kitchen, and like nothing, like he walks through there and he's kind of panning at the back of the kitchen. He turns around and every single cabinet and drawer in the kitchen is open.
Well, when he was looking towards the dining room area, you hear a loud banging noise.
Oh, I didn't.
And then he pans back around into the kitchen and all the cabinets are open.
I didn't notice the bang, apparently. Oh my gosh. So he loses his shit and then he stops filming.
Yep.
So next thing we see is him filming himself. They're getting ready to leave the house, and he starts talking about the hotel guy again. One of the things that the guy said in the very beginning when they were talking about it was that, because he asked him if it was real. He's like, flat out, tell me if it's fake. He's like, if you got a friend to help you do it, just let me know if it's fake or not. And the thing that the John guy said was, he's like, I can tell you it's real 1,000,000 times, and it's up to you if you believe it or not. Mm-hmm. So it's like full circle. He's like, I don't know what to do with this footage because I can show it to everybody in the world, and it's up to them if they believe it or not.
Yeah.
So you can go through all this shit yourself, personally experience it, and people might not believe you. Mm-hmm. It's actually more likely that people won't believe you.
Exactly.
So, they're at the very end, they're kind of replaying some images that he caught, and one of the images was the pan from when he was going from the breaker box and he panned around the well. Did you see the woman figure?
Yeah.
There's like, it's like a figure of a woman standing in...
It's white.
Yeah, it looks like it's glowing. And, you have to slow the film down because he's just panning around. Mm-hmm. But you can totally see...
Yes, I got chills.
I know! It's so good!
And that's how it ends. It's like, okay, it shows it, and that's where it stops.
Yeah. So good!
It was really,
so
really good.
So, if you guys didn't watch it, we highly recommend it. We do not do it justice. I can tell you that right now. But it's super creepy, and it's so well made. I don't even care if it's fake because it's so well made, and I guarantee he didn't get like $1 million for doing it or anything. No. But I totally believe it. I mean, I can't not. Mm-mm. It's just so authentic. I love it. And we really need to look. There's like 2 more.
Yeah, there's a 2 and a 3.
So we're going to have to check those out, I think, at some point. Do you have a Woody wrap-up?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, great. Yay,
Woody wrap-up. Do it now? Oh.
Yeah, that was it.
These are 17 savage grandmas who have zero freaking filter.
Oh, shit. Oh, I love it. This is going to be me.
My grandma told me while lying in her actual deathbed, you need to stop wearing your hair like that.
Oh my fucking gosh. That is hilarious. No. Oh my gosh. I got a story about our grandma.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. You made me feel like shit.
What? Which grandma?
Daddy's grandma. Or Daddy's mom. I was probably like 10. And we went to, one of the 12 things that we attended while we were little. Mm-hmm. And everybody was there. And I walked in, and she goes, wow, Brandy, you're getting so big. She's like, you're getting big this way and this way.
Really?
Yes! In front of everybody! So I sat my ass down in that chair. I didn't say a fucking word to anybody, and I fucking left. I was pissed. I was like 10. Oh, damn it, Grandma. Made me feel like shit.
Oh. I don't really remember talking that much, to tell you the truth, but...
I like food. And she wasn't small. I might add.
Not at all.
I might add.
She was, yeah.
Anyway.
I was painting my nails, and my grandma leaned over and said, that's a nice shade of horror red. Then she walked away.
Holy shit! Oh my god! That was perfect. Perfect. She just fucking walked away. She didn't give a shit. That poor girl, she's probably like, oh my god. Horror red, what? Oh my god, these are great.
I once got a Christmas card from my grandma that said, maybe next year you'll make us proud.
Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god! Let's keep our fingers crossed!
I think when you get old, you just don't give a shit. You just let it all out.
Oh my gosh.
My grandma took my kindergarten photo and said, "This is what I used to chase the rats away with."
What? That's so mean.
One day, my mom was sitting on the couch and said, "I feel fat." My grandma walked out of the room saying, "It's more than a feeling."
Oh my God. Oh my God.
When my grandma came to visit for my graduation, after not seeing each other for 2 years, she said, "You look much better in your pictures on Facebook." Thanks, Grandma.
Wow, you look like shit. Why did you just say that?
One day after school, a friend and I were looking at our school photos that we had just gotten back. My great-grandma walked in the room, took a look at my friend's photo, and said, "Well, at least you know to never do your hair like that again." Mean old bitch.
So mean.
One of my cousins was planning her wedding, and she told my great-grandmother that she wanted a strapless dress. My lovely great-grandmother said, "You better get some tits first."
Oh my God.
Last Thanksgiving, my grandmother told me that if my father was her firstborn child, she would have just started swallowing from that point forward.
Oh my God. That is like the best, worst insult. Your mother should have swallowed.
When my older sister told my family she was pregnant out of wedlock and not in a relationship, my grandma sighed, looked at me, and said, "We always thought it would be you."
Oh! Oh my God! So mean! Oh my God.
I was playing piano for my family when I was about 5 years old. I finished the song and noticed that everyone was clapping except my grandma. When I asked her why, she said, "I only clap if it's good."
Oh shit! 5? What a bitch!
Yeah.
That's mean. That's just mean.
My great-grandma was in the hospital, and when she got up to use the bathroom, her nurse asked, "Catherine, do you want help?" My great-grandma said, "No, I don't need your help. I've been wiping my own pussy for 90 years.
Oh my! I would have loved to have been there to see that.
When I was 7, I wanted to be an astronaut, so I drew a picture of one walking on the moon. "It's an astronaut, Grandma," I said with enthusiasm. "An astronaut," she said while taking a drag of her cigarette. "Well, that's pretty fucking stupid."
Well, okay. Don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel. Holy shit.
I once casually remarked to my grandma, "It's hot in here." She immediately responded, "You better start going to church because it's a lot hotter in hell."
Oh. Well. That's mean.
After I got my nose pierced, my grandma looked me up and down and said, "Well, you used to be my favorite granddaughter."
Aw, that's sad.
My grandma was a big smoker, and one night when we were at her house, I was about 6, I started coughing. I said the smoke really stunk and was so gross. She said, "You know, smoke only goes to the ugliest person in the room."
Well.
These grandmas are mean.
They are. Oh my gosh.
And my last one. My great-grandma said to my face, "I always thought Natalie was a white trash name. My name is Natalie."
Oh my gosh! Aw, that's so mean. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh goodness. Okay, seriously, it is Christmas next week in the States, so we're taking a week off. But whatever you celebrate, have a great time with your families and friends, and stay safe. Did I say that already? Email us your stories. We want to hear them. ghoulsnightoutpodcast@gmail.com. You can rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. You can recommend us on Facebook. Look up our Facebook page and request to join the group. Twitter, Instagram. I haven't done anything this week. Oops. Sorry. Lauren, I think you're the only one that goes on there anyways. So yeah, you guys have a safe holiday, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Later.
Bye.